Welcome everyone to our photo tour of our house in Moonee Ponds in Melbourne. Thank you for joining us. My name's Rebecca and I hope everyone out there in COVID lockdown land is doing okay. We'd like to start by acknowledging that the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation are the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and also recognise that this land was never ceded. My key takeaway for you about this house, which is a project home, is that there are lots of options that you can ask for that are not super radical, that won't make your builder flip out, but that can really add up in terms of sustainability performance. Some of them cost nothing or next to nothing. Others can have reasonable price tags, but the point is that much more is possible for a project home than you might think. Some basic stats about the house. It's on the larger side. It's an Australian project home for a largish family, 340 square metres, double storey, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, library upstairs, open plan, living, kitchen and dining downstairs with a study, a playroom and an alfresco area. It took about 7 months to build. Unlike a regular project home, it has a 7.5-star energy rating and also additional sustainability features that the rating doesn't really capture. So we're starting this tour at the back of the house, looking at our pond, which captures rainwater to help out our rainwater tank, and also looking at our chicken coop. Also in this photo, you can see that we were able to salvage some materials from the old house on the block, and in this case, wooden window seats, which were the old kitchen benches, which we've placed on top of IKEA wall cabinets. Taking a step back from the garden view, you can see our open plan kitchen, living and dining area that looks out onto the backyard. Our tiles are in view here. We chose tiles because they were practical from a maintenance perspective. They help with thermal mass, and these Panaria tiles are made from 40% recycled material. A quick note about the stacking doors that lead to the alfresco. Lots of display houses have really enormous grand openings without corners, which look really impressive. We took a different approach here. We chose the relatively lower cost option of having a corner between the stacking doors and then using those cost savings to invest in double glazed low E stacking doors to help with energy efficiency. The alfresco is a great covered area for the kids to play, but because it's quite deep, it does mean that we get very little northern light into the living area, which you can see straight ahead. So we set the house as far back as possible from the northern boundary, which is to our side, and we tried to maximise northern light with windows everywhere we could. So on the ground floor, which is what you see in this photo, we've got large windows to the northern side. On the first floor, we had to make do with highlight windows, which you can see in these photos because of building regulations on privacy, looking over our neighbour to the side. The carpet upstairs that you can see in these photos, incidentally, is Triexta, which is partially made with corn sugar. The brand name here is Smart Strand, and it is seemingly impossible to stain. In terms of heating and cooling, we use 6 standalone, very high energy efficiency split systems. And we added in doors in various locations on the standard floor plan to make sure that we could zone the house so that we're really only heating and cooling the places of the house that we're using at a given point in time. So in this photo, you can see one of the doors that we added, which means that the heating and cooling that goes on in the open plan downstairs area doesn't travel into the hallway or upstairs. Using split systems rather than gas heating, that seems to be the project home standard, means that we could avoid using gas altogether, and we run everything from electricity. So for our electric supply, we are grid connected, but we also have a Tesla Powerwall 2 and 5 kilowatts of solar panels, which together last year supplied 80% of our energy. So of that 80%, 41% was direct solar and 39% was via the Powerwall. The Dakin units that we have also have a heat recovery ventilation function, which we needed to account for the fact that the house was built with air tightness as a really important objective, and avoiding having ducts with gas heating also helps with air tightness. Also, on the air tightness front, we used readily available Tyvek home wrap, so not anything particularly fancy or expensive, and paid attention to ceiling wall penetrations and windows and doors. We also had square set cornices to avoid air leakage through gaps where the plasterboard meets. So those were pretty simple steps that led to a tested air tightness rating of 3.66 air changes per hour, which compares with more than 15 air changes per hour for the average new Australian home. Now, that performance isn't captured by the Energy Star rating, but it's important to energy efficiency because otherwise you're using a whole bunch of energy to heat or cool air that then leaks out quite quickly. Focusing on air tightness, though, does require you to trust that your builder will take the time to make sure that everything is sealed up properly. In terms of features that we included that do get translated into energy efficiency ratings, like insulation and double glazing, we basically maximised what the builder offered. So for us, that meant double glazed low E windows and doors. Downstairs windows are timber to reduce heat transfer through the frame, and upstairs are aluminium for practicality. Thermally broken aluminium windows were not available through the builder, although I do wish that they might have been, just to reduce the maintenance factor with the wooden windows. Here's a view of our ceiling insulation with the builder's blanket and some stats on the wall insulation. It's nothing particularly fancy, but I will note that we used downstairs LED downlights that allowed insulation to be placed on top, so we didn't get a whole bunch of holes in our insulation, which I think helps quite a lot. Just finally, in terms of our slab, we have a waffle pod slab that also has slab edge installed, and the slab itself is relatively low embodied energy, being made from fly ash, recycled aggregates and recycled water. Thanks so much for coming on our tour. A couple of takeaways for you. I think there are lots of really run-of-the-mill options that are available to increase energy efficiency and sustainability performance in the context of a project house, and there's obviously a lot more that you can do after handover as well. I do think it's important to ask if your builder has someone in-house who can offer you advice and is willing to help push the boundaries and iterate on what your house design will ultimately look like. If you're after some more details about our experience, check out a write-up about our house in issue 52 of Sanctuary magazine. And finally, good luck with your own plans.